sci-fi drama that is now streaming on Netflix. I believe it came out on Netflix a few days ago. This one has a pretty good cast. It stars Toni Collette, it stars Daniel Day Kim, Anna Kendrick, and Shamir Anderson, I believe is his name. The story basically surrounds this three-person crew that goes into space on a mission to Mars. They're supposed to be conducting some important research on Mars, and so it's a three-person crew with Toni Collette, Daniel Day Kim, and Anna Kendrick. But unfortunately, their mission is kind of thrown by the wayside when they discover that there is somebody that has stowed away on board their vessel. This stowaway kind of complicates everything for their mission, because if you know anything about these space missions, you know that everything has to be figured down to the T. Every calculation, everything that is supposed to help you survive and complete your mission. If you have an unknown variable, that can kind of throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. So essentially this movie is about this four-person crew trying to deal with the monkey wrench of having one more person than they're supposed to. In the meantime, you know, it's space, and space is scary. And so that's the basic premise of the movie, is this four people in space trying to figure out a whole bunch of problems. You guys know the basic setup and premise for a movie like this, not just because I just laid it out, but also because we've seen a lot of these type of movies over the years. We've seen a lot of sci-fi movies involving space, involving a crew where something goes wrong and they have to figure it out. They find this stowaway, and then a bunch of problems start popping up because of this stowaway, and so the crew has to try to figure out their way through it. The movie does take its time setting up the scenario, setting up the story. I'll admit I didn't know a lot about Shamir Anderson before this movie. I feel like I've seen him in something, but then I also feel like maybe I didn't and I'm just imagining things, and maybe this is the first movie I've ever seen him in. Regardless, Shamir gave probably the best performance of the entire crew. He shows a wide range of emotions. He goes from scared and anxious to confident and happy and everything in between, and I really liked his performance. And you actually kind of find out a little bit more about him over the course of the movie than you find out about some of the other characters. So kudos to Shamir, he did a great job. Daniel Day Kim does a really great job. He's this researcher, he's really mission oriented. Very rare in life that I've watched a movie that has Anna Kendrick in it and I'm like, you know what, she was the most unlikable thing about this movie. Nah, Anna Kendrick's likable, you know, she's the type of woman you take home and show to your mom. I mean, I can't say anything else about her that you haven't heard about Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick is Anna Kendrick, and she's pretty likable in this movie. You guys know I have a lot of respect for Toni Collette. I think she's a great actress. She's not given that much to work with here, but she makes it work for what they're asking her to do. So Toni Collette is solid, if not spectacular, in this movie. I do appreciate on a technical level how this film was made. The cinematography, the lighting, the production design of this space cabin, this ship, this shuttle that they're basically stuck in for most of the movie. What I like about the cinematography in this film is how the shots were framed from the character's perspective inside the cabin. And so you don't get a lot of those big, huge, glamorous, epic shots of space and the great beyond. They don't show you a lot about the outside, and this creates a more intimate and claustrophobic feel. In some of the moments where they need things to get a little bit more emotional or a little bit more intense, the musical score did its job. I wish I could remember the composer, but as you guys know, I'd be forgetting shit. There's a moral dilemma that the characters are forced to reconcile with in this movie. They didn't rush their way through it, and they didn't create a whole bunch of, you know, exaggerated Hollywood sequences where people are screaming at each other or whatever. They kind of deal with the problems and they try to talk their way through them and discuss them, and that's kind of a refreshing, different take, because normally in movies like this, people get in space and they get a little loopy, they get crazy, they start screaming, and a whole bunch of extra shit starts happening, and that's not the way it was dealt with in this movie. They kind of handle it methodically with the characters and allow them to kind of feel the gravity of the decisions that they're gonna make that could affect the lives of everybody in this space cabin. And a lot of people are gonna say the pacing for this movie is cheap. I'm not necessarily one of those people, but I do feel like maybe they could have gotten to the point a little bit faster. I know that the director wanted to take his time and lay things out. Unfortunately, in laying things out, he made things take longer, and if you're gonna do that, you gotta give me some interesting character work. And that was the big frustrating thing with this movie, is that even though you spend a lot of time with these characters, you don't spend nearly as much time with them as you think you are, and you don't get to know them as much as you want to, and you don't really get to feel that invested in them or the relationships with each other as I feel like the movie wants you to feel. I can definitely see people watching this movie and going, okay, I'm fucking bored. Also, there's some unanswered questions with this movie that I feel like are gonna bother some people. I'm not gonna call them plot holes, because I feel like plot holes are kind of overused in film criticism nowadays. But I am gonna say some unanswered questions, especially a big one that kind of kickstarts the conflict, like the central conflict of the movie. I feel like they could have done a better job at treating it like it was an important question, as opposed to being like, it doesn't matter, you're here now, you're in the shit with us, just get over it. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we Guess we didn't need to know that. Ultimately, it's a slower paced movie that acts like it's more about the characters, but it doesn't really give you a lot of character moments to get invested. I feel like there could have been a little bit more drama, a little bit more conflict, a little bit more tension and stakes, and you didn't feel a lot of that, and even if you did, you're not that invested in the characters as much as you want it to be, and that was the biggest issue I had with this film. Stowaway was a pretty solid watch as far as Netflix movies go, especially sci-fi Netflix. I'm gonna leave this one in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. Tell me, if you've seen Stowaway, what did you think about the movie? What's your favorite space exploration movie? Put that in the comment section down below. Stay tuned for more videos. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.